Episode 2. Liddy! Woo!
So sick, boy, better call a doctor. My team ballin' like the Knickerbockers.
Alright, let's stop messing around though. Let's get for real.
Rim rockers, silk shockers, throw your hands up like Serge Ibaka.
Yo, what's up, guys? Jay East here, and this is episode number 2. Technically, this is going to be recording number 3, but that's the last time we're going to do that. Episode number 2, and we're going to be going over physical growth on this episode. If you watched the last video, and I hope you did, if you didn't, then go back and watch it. But if you already did, and you saw that we touched on the high 5, the 5 things that you need to do and you need to grow at so that you can have real overall growth. Real quick, we're going to go over those 5, and those 5 were physical growth, it was mental growth, it was emotional growth, spiritual growth, and ethical growth. So, this episode, we're going to go over physical growth, different ways that you can physically grow, and exactly what that means and why you should aim to do it. So, you know, there's a lot of people that are going to think they don't need to physically do anything, but this is something that I think everybody kind of needs to do, at least if you want to grow. And even if you don't want to grow, I think it's still something that you need to do. So, let's go. First thing that we have to go over is the definition of physical growth. The definition of physical is anything that relates to the body and not the mind. That's really important to understand, because even though you need to have a strong mental in order to achieve any of these levels of growth individually or as a whole, it's important to understand that when we say your physical growth, this has to do with things that you have to do for your body to grow. I'm not going to go into the full definition of what the word growth means. I'm just going to really quick go over a couple words that are synonyms. You know, I really don't like that word. Synonyms. Yeah, anyway, synonyms to growth. For growth, usually words you'll hear will be development, achievement, progress, progression, elaboration, future evaluation. These are all different words and terms that you usually hear associated with growth. So if we kind of put those two together, physical growth could be as something simple to explain as anything that relates to an elaboration or progression of your body. It's also really important that we understand when we say physical growth, I'm not talking about you growing and your limbs getting longer. That's not the kind of growth that I'm talking about. When I say physical growth, more so what I'm talking about are things that you can choose actively to do to change yourself physically. There are different things that are going to probably happen to your body anyway, and those aren't things that we're considering physical growth. Those are things that your body are going to do anyway. It's just changes your body's going to go through. But these changes you have to actively want, or you have to actively push to do. Let's dive a little bit deeper into that. So one of the examples of physical growth that I can use for myself would be when I actively decided that I wanted to put on some pounds. I made the decision last year that I was going to put on about 40 or 50 pounds, right? Not something that people normally decide to do. But that was my decision. That was my choice. Look at the muscle. So when I made this decision, I understood that my body was going to have to go through a physical change. So I did some research. I did some studying. I checked out a couple different things, different topics on how to do it, how to safely do it, the unsafe way to do it to make sure that I avoided that at all costs. And then obviously the last thing would be the ramifications of doing that and how long it would be able to sustain. So that's the other thing with growth. Everything that you do in order to make yourself grow, it has to be sustainable. If it's not sustainable, then yeah, it's growth, but it's not gonna last. It's like temporary. I mean, you don't want to go through something where it's kind of like the Incredible Hulk, where all of a sudden, you know, you have all these great powers and all these great abilities, but it's only temporary. That's not what you want. You want to more so be in the scenario like a Superman, where you have all of those powers. Or like a Wonder Woman, where you already have all those abilities and you can use and wheel and deal them at your own will. 40 to 50 pounds increase, and I wanted to make sure that I increased in muscle. I understood I was going to increase in some fat in the process of doing that. It's just going to happen, but it's controlling it. And then my physical growth for this year was I decided to get contacts. So if you saw my last video, you saw that I was wearing glasses. Wait. What? You'll notice in this video, I'm not wearing glasses. I actually already had the contacts. I just have a really bad habit of not always wearing them. But I'm trying to progress and get to the point where I'm just wearing them on the regular. You don't have to do something crazy and dramatic like putting on 40 or 50 pounds. Your physical growth could be something as easy as deciding to actively go to the gym more. It could be something as easy as deciding just to eat better or eat different or cut certain things out of your diet. Cutting carbs or cutting sugars or increasing your vitamins. All of those things are physical things that you can do that will lead to physical growth, because one way or another they're going to lead to your body changing, usually in a way for the better. Now you have to do the research and decide how you want your body to change. There are different things that I could tell you that you can do that'll make your body change for the better, but everybody's body's a little bit different and everyone wants to grow a little bit differently. So there isn't like, one set blueprint as to this is what you have to physically do to grow, right? Right. And I'm sure, as you already know, every one of these levels or forms of growth, they're always going to have a catch. So none of these are easy. There are some that are easier than others. I think physical growth is one of the easier ones, and I'll tell you why. Physical growth is almost like low-hanging fruit, where it's right there. It's really easy to attain if you focus on it. To achieve any level of growth, including physical, you have to focus. It's just one of these things where mentally you have to be focused to say you're going to do it. That's the concept behind going to the gym. You have to mentally focus to say that you're going to physically go to the gym. So that means you have to physically say, I'm going to go to the gym. And you have to focus on doing that. This is the reason why gyms make so much money, because it's really easy for people to misfocus of that or forget it. I've done it. It's something where, you plan on going to the gym and then something else happens and then you physically just decide that you don't want to go to the gym for one reason or another. But here's where the physical growth kicks in. When you're able to notice that you're going to push something off, especially something that's going to be better for you, and you're able to tell yourself, no, I'm going to do it, especially something like going to the gym, that's a major leap forward. Because usually once you start to do those things, this is why it's low-hanging fruit. Once you start to do those things, it becomes easier for you to keep doing it. It's a concept of building a habit. You can only build a habit by physically wanting to build a habit. If you don't want to build a habit, you're not going to build it. It's just not going to happen. That's not how it works. Back to the physical growth. Here's why I picked this one as the first one that I wanted to talk about. Besides it being the easiest one, in my opinion, it's usually something that you can start with really small things to do to physically grow. So you can start with something as easy as saying that you're going to all of a sudden eat more vegetables tomorrow, and you can make that decision. Or you could say that you're going to all of a sudden just stop getting off at a certain stop at the bus and you're going to get off at a couple stops earlier so you can walk more. Or you can just decide, okay, I'm going to change my eating habits. Physical growth is something where you can pick anything that you physically are doing and modify it for the better. You'll know it's for the better because it's usually going to be a little bit more difficult than what you're doing now. I mean, that's the whole reason why people love the way how dessert tastes versus how certain vegetables taste. But you can obviously see the difference there. One is better for you than the other one. Another term that I want to associate with physical growth is going to be physical development or physical wellness. And here's the reason why I say that. It's really important that you associate physical wellness with physical growth. I know, you're thinking like, why? Why do I have to associate wellness with it? And wellness is like one of these cool words that all the hipster kids use now, right? Right? Yeah, it is, but not really. The reason why I say wellness is because for you to achieve physical wellness, two things have to happen. The first thing that needs to happen is you have to decide that you're going to achieve this. You have to make the active approach to say, I'm going to achieve wellness, right? Easy. The second one, and this is a little bit tougher, but the second one is you have to do an assessment to figure out where it is that you need to improve to achieve your wellness. And this is the same thing with your physical growth. You have to make an assessment to see where can you physically grow. Once you do that, that's the first step. Figuring out where you can grow and figuring out if you really want to achieve that. Then it's doing it. Not trying to do it, but doing it. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm not a fan of the word try. I don't like try. I don't like trying. I don't like tried. There are words that I try not to use. Boom, you heard it there? Exactly. There are words that I don't want to use because it usually sets up an air almost for something not to go the way that you want it to go. How many times have you heard people say that? Oh, well, you know, I really tried to get that done, or, you know, I'm gonna try to do that. Yeah, I'm gonna try to feel better. No, it's real easy. It's either you do or you don't. It's hard to do or don't, but guess what? That's what it's gonna come down to anyway. You either do or you don't. So, with physical growth, make that decision. Is this something that you do want to do, or is this something that you don't want to do? If you want to grow on the overall, then it's something that you have to do. You can't try to do it. You have to do it. It has to be something where there are no other options. This is what you have to get done. And then once you've decided that, start with step one, like what we just said. If you didn't catch step one, go back, rewind the video. Step two is deciding how you're going to turn your vision of what you've assessed and what you've decided to achieve into a reality. And this is where it gets really hard, because now you have to figure out the routine or the steps that you're going to do so that you can make this a reality. This is where trying doesn't work. Only doing is going to work at this point. If you try to make a routine, it's not going to work out. I'm sorry. It might work for a little bit, it won't work for a long time. If you do make a routine, then either you're going to do the routine or you're not. There's no middle ground. And here's the even crazier thing about this whole physical growth thing. So every one of these levels of growth, they're all linked to each other. Remember, the hand, the high five, right? So if you said that this is physical growth, I wouldn't pick the thumb. I'd probably pick one of these other ones. But if you said that physical growth is the thumb, if you look closely, it's still linked to the other ones. This is why once you start to achieve physical growth, or once you have the thumb going, now it's easier to build your mental growth. Because your mental is going to become stronger from you consistently trying to achieve your routines. And from you actively trying and doing the steps to get better. And it's going to continue for every one of the other levels. Can't get this high five without starting with one. And you have to start with one. And I think the easiest one to start with is physical growth. Starting today, go pick something, anything, any aspect of your life that you physically think you can change. Maybe it's a hairdo, or maybe it's, shaving a beard off. It could be something that small that, maybe there was a reason why you decided to do it and it wasn't for a good reason. That kind of leads towards the ethics thing later. Whatever it is, just pick something physically, assess it, figure out what you want to achieve, and then do it. That's literally your steps. Pick something, assess, achieve, then do. That's it. So start today, man. Anything. Start running more, or start walking more, or start eating better, or start cutting different things out of your diet that maybe you don't need. Maybe you change the way that you're dressing. That's a physical change too. Maybe you don't like how you're dressing. Or maybe it's not the way how you're dressing. Maybe it's the way that you're walking. Maybe it's the way that you're talking. Maybe it's the words that you're using. These are all physical things that you can change. And as you start to change them after you've assessed, decided to achieve, and you've started to do it, you're going to see it's going to be easier for you to do more. This is like when they tell you, start with small steps, and small steps lead to bigger steps, it's the same thing. You have to start small. So start small in the bottom and then work your way up until you get to the bigger things. And then when you're at the big thing, it's going to be easier to do it because now you can look back at all the success that you had along the way of getting all these other things done. Start today. I can't say that again. Please start today. Pick something, write it down, assess it, see what you want to achieve that's different from that, and then do it. And that's it. So that wraps up the video pretty much. As I always say, feel free to like the video if you liked it. If you didn't like it, don't lie to me. Don't lie. Tell me why you didn't like it. Put it in the comments. Maybe that's something that I could use for my physical growth. If you love the video, hit me with one of those thumbs up. Feel free to share the video. Feel free to subscribe so you can see the next video that you'll probably like too. Or you can just feel free to tell somebody else about the channel. Tell somebody about the page. Until then, I hope you're all going out there and you're physically growing. And I'll see you next time. Relax. Feel this.